going to be a laughing show, I can tell.
What do you mean? It's not. It's not either.
There will likely be lots of laughing.
Right. This is such a weird thing. Okay. Yeah. Just needed a breath there for a second. Yeah. Okay. Welcome to In the Act, a radio program on process in the creative life. Creativity does not just start and stop with artists. We all make aesthetic or guiding decisions. Our aim is to talk through the process and investigate how we choose to express ourselves and live creatively. We are connecting with people about their lives. That is the subject of our show. Broadcasting from Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin on Mead Community Radio, I am Erica Hunsinger, and this is In the Act. And today's guest on In the Act is Kim Geiser.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. I would like to tell our listening audience that the surprise, beautiful creation of yourself that walked in the door today was of the most fluorescent, beautiful pink hair bob.
This is a pretty intense one.
I love it.
I've been going through the rainbow with my hair, and this one's pretty intense. It gets looks.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Good. Fine.
I kind of love that.
Yeah. I love that you went through the rainbow.
Yeah.
Are you going to continue cycling through the rainbow?
I'm just going to keep doing whatever feels right.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And then, like, when you're tired of it or when it starts to... Yeah. I mean, like
or if
when
my hair falls out, from bleaching it. I'll just shave it and start over.
I mean, like the cycle. Like, how long is the cycle? Is it like a month? Do you keep the pink and then you're like, I feel green? Or...
I have really oily hair, so I have to wash my hair every day. So it doesn't last quite as long for me as it does for most people who do it. So it's supposed to be 30 days. For me, it's about 3 weeks, every 3 weeks.
Yeah. Awesome.
But I kind of have to be careful to go into a color that will work with the color before because there's still a little bit of color in there.
Oh, yeah.
So if you really dye your hair green and then you want to dye it,
red, you're going brown.
Yeah, there's weird color theory. It's like totally different than the color theory that we know. But not. But it is. So, yeah, it's just been fun.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
It's a great radar to see who I would invite in my life.
Oh.
Because if people look at me and they go, what is wrong with her?
Yeah.
I kind of know that I'm probably not going to want to sit and have coffee with them.
Right. It's a really good gauge. It becomes a good gauge then.
It's been super fun.
Yeah.
But maybe I'd be surprised.
Right.
Who knows?
Right. And I feel like you're open to those things.
I am.
Yeah.
Totally open to anything.
Right. Yeah. Which is...
I also have no filter and say whatever is on my mind, clearly.
Which I super appreciate as a fellow out there voicer of opinions.
Yes. I think that's a creative thing.
How so?
Well, I've found in my life that a lot of the people who I see as highly creative tend to also be very passionate in their lives.
Yeah.
Like about everything. Mm-hmm. Like about the grass and the sun and the trees and like every individual piece of sand. And like those are my favorite people. And when you feel like that, I feel like you kind of feel like that about everything.
Yeah.
And and I also think that sometimes for me and the people who I love the most who are creative, you don't have, like I said, you don't have that filter as much because you have to be brave to put your creativity out in the world.
Absolutely.
So if you're brave to do that, then you're brave to say, hey, whatever it is you want to say.
Right.
So, yeah, I think creativity is brave.
I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. I love that. Creativity is brave. Mm-hmm. Kind of want to sit in that for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And because of all of those reasons too, brave for yourself, to expose something that feels like you have to be brave or risk-taking to do so or to express it in some way. And then brave to, the next layer is to have others see it, and that's a brave experience then too, of how do they respond? Do I care if what they think, or does it really affect me? How do I move through this next process?
Oh, huge journey as a creative, I think.
Right.
I know.
And then the tertiary one of people like you don't know that are responding to your work and or your
Just who
life
you are,
or who
yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but as a very empathic, loving, caring person who really cares about a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
it has nearly destroyed me in my life being misunderstood. And of course I'm misunderstood. I don't do anything like other people do. I don't fit in because I can't, So to live a life where you're completely misunderstood your whole life, and to reach a point, I'm close to 50 now.
Yeah.
And I've reached that point where if you don't get me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's all part of that creative process, I think. Like, I mean, there are magical unicorns who are born without caring of what other people think, and they can just express themselves freely. And I revel in their light. But I'm just not one of those people. It took me nearly 50 years.
Sure.
I would say in the last couple of years, I've developed that sorry, if you don't understand me and don't want to take the time to understand me anymore.
Yeah. What do you think helped you develop like because I think we're talking about like core strength, core self, and feeling comfortable with yourself enough to hold strong and to believe in yourself and in those, like, what do you think helped you? I mean, I know that one thing you're saying is time, that it took a lot of time and experience.
I think a lot for me, it's just so many things. It's paring down people in my life, which seems it's a little harsh, but I don't allow people in my life as much as I used to. And I have found so much peace in that.
People in your life that treat you a certain way, or just people in general?
I think I've just kind of blocked myself from a lot of people in general. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very, very vocal, and I've always been very vocal on social media, and I still am, but I've started to realize that it's not necessarily something that serves me. So I have kind of backed off a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still, I still, when something comes up that grinds me, I'm still going to talk about it. But I started a nonprofit last year, and I pared my Facebook friends from over 2,000 to about 600.
Wow.
Which was hard because there are a lot of people who I like, It's not that I didn't like people. It's that I've realized that I need to protect myself. And that was a big part of it for me, was just taking that step and saying, okay, this is my life, my sanity, and that came from time. I do think that the pandemic for me has been a very good thing because I'm privileged and lucky and never had to worry about food or anything like that. But for me, it's really opened my eyes up to the world and how differently we all see things, and that I'm never going to see things the same as a lot of people. And I appreciate that. I do still hope to lead by example to the people that I no longer feel like I can relate to. And I hope that they, see the benefits of doing good things and right things. But it's not for me anymore, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that knowing. getting real strong with my boundaries has been huge.
I hear that.
So I don't know. I just think it's age. I just think it's just wisdom and growing up and experiencing things that, that change you forever and paying attention to it.
Right. I think that's that cycle, right? It's like action or experience happens and then reflection, how do I feel about it? What happened? Right? And then what do I want to do about it? Nothing, everything,
Well, and a lot of people don't reflect. I don't think a lot of people reflect because it's too much.
Sure.
It's a lot.
Yes.
It is a lot to work on yourself and to say, oh crap, I was wrong. Or, I need to really think about the way that I presented something or did something. It takes a strong person, and a lot of people just don't want to. They just don't want to, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but
or
those
aren't able to,
aren't able. I agree. Don't even have the tools to know.
Right.
And
haven't had the support.
Exactly.
Don't really know how to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, we're all so different, and and realizing that, I think, is part of it all, too.
Yeah.
Is that you're just not you're not for everyone.
Right.
You know, and if I walk into a room and somebody looks at me and rolls their eyes because I have pink hair, I'm not for that person.
Right.
And they're not for me. So it's okay.
Yeah.
We had, this is a totally personal thing, but my brother-in-law lived with us in the pandemic, and he had pancreatic cancer. And he was also schizophrenic, so there was really nowhere for him to go during the pandemic, dying. And that experience to me of seeing someone die with a mental illness that completely consumed his life made me realize that there are things in life that just are not bad. They're not good. There's just no solution. And that it's just the way it is. And that to me was one of the greatest lessons too, is that things don't have to be good all the time. Sometimes life just sucks. Sometimes life just sucks. Yeah. And that's a good thing to think about, things are unfair, things are horrible, and there's not always a solution. There's not always something to fix.
Right.
And as a person who wants to make things better, and my creative brain wants to make things better all the time, that was a good lesson in, you can't always make things better.
Right.
So, yeah. Just a lot of things happened in the last couple of years.
I'm so sorry about your brother-in-law.
Yeah, it was he's not suffering anymore. It was a very life-changing experience. Yeah. That if anybody listening ever has the opportunity to be with someone when they pass, I just strongly recommend it. It's you view life completely different. So. Yeah, it was pretty major. But thank you
for sharing that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's important for people to not, we go in cycles too, right? And life cycle, and talking a little bit about this yesterday. But I think that we are all going to experience difficulties and deep, painful heartaches and hardships. And none of us are exempt from it. But how we can support each other. You supported your brother-in-law.
Right.
You did make things better for him.
We tried.
And it's something that I hope this show provides for people, is to see that there are options and ways and connections, because life is so hard.
It is.
And we are living within this really bizarro time that no one could have really predicted would It's like science fiction. And
It's collective
there's so
trauma.
It is
It's collective trauma.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Like we are all going through this trauma together.
Absolutely.
And it's
And we
just
have different ways of expressing ourselves.
Oh, for sure. I'm so done. Aren't you done?
I mean, we all are, right?
I mean, everybody, and that's part of it. Yeah, like,
and it's like the dissociative piece too that a lot of us do. I think probably everybody does. Like, okay, I'm not thinking about death. I'm not thinking about the tragedy involved. We're going to think about smiles, and and to be a full human, you have to think and be all. And we do. It's just whether or not you acknowledge it, I suppose.
Exactly.
And it's not that we want people to be mired in it and be held down or made to be in that, but to recognize and to see each other for where they are. And I think acknowledgement goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I totally agree. I think all of us are going to deal with everything so differently. And if I deal by putting a statistic on my social media that 1 in 500 Americans have died from this virus. 1 in 500, if you think about that. That is a mind-boggling thing for me to think about.
Yeah.
I don't post that because I want somebody to feel bad about a decision, or I want somebody to feel good about their decisions, or anything surrounding this virus. I post that because 1 out of 500 people in our country have died.
Right.
And that's sad to me.
Yeah.
And I mourn that one person.
Yeah.
I mourn the almost 700,000 people, as an empath, which often is creative, I feel like it's intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel it. So for me, to express those things is who I am.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't help it.
And
I'm annoying. I get it, but it's who I am.
Right.
I fully accept that I'm annoying too, by the way.
Right.
No problem with it.
I got it. Yeah.
I am.
That's great.
I'm completely obnoxious.
I love that you said that under your breath, in this pause. I'm completely obnoxious. Welcome back to In the Act. We're here with Kim Geiser. So we ended on this cute little funny, I'm annoying, but also that you have to express yourself.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the ways that you express yourself is through talking and through writing. And but what do you physically do? Like, what do you...
Well, I started a nonprofit, as I said earlier, so I really don't do anything anymore except run that.
What's the name of it?
But
is that Hello Happiness?
It is Hello Happiness Creativity Center in Sheboygan, which I absolutely, it's my life's work. Everything has led to it. However, I love drawing. I'm an illustrator. I do mixed media art, and I make jewelry. I pretty much do everything. I have dabbled in pretty much
List it off. Let's
everything.
Hear it. Let's hear it.
I do polymer clay. I do just mixed media paintings. I have a very, my approach to art is very different than most artists. I just look at it as 100% play for me. And if people resonate with what I put out in the world and want to buy it, I'll let them buy it for $20. I have been very prolific. So I have I figured it out not long ago. I do these quick, letter painting, kind of painting things where I doodle basically on a canvas and then paint it. I have sold probably 3,000 plus of those in my life. And I'm not even joking. Like, I'm the kind of person who's like, okay, I'll buy 200 canvases and paint them all in 4 days. So I'm kind of a little manic in that way when it comes to making art. But I didn't bring it today because I figured I should concentrate on talking and not doodling. But I almost always have a clipboard with white cardstock and a Sharpie medium point pen.
Cardstock 8.5 by 11?
In regular cardstock.
Okay.
I have totes full of these pieces of cardstock that I've doodled on. And sometimes I revisit them and be like, oh, I drew that. Like, that's cool. And then I, use that as a starting point for something else. I have so many that I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking I'm going to have like a burning party or something because there's too many. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that is always my go-to. I love drawing.
Yeah.
I just love it.
And what did you say a Sharpie? Is that Sharpie?
A Sharpie pen, not the regular Sharpie.
Okay.
I was using Sharpies. This is not even a lie. I was using regular Sharpie, like the fine tip Sharpie in the beginning. I draw in bed a lot. Okay. So it's so close to me. I got pneumonia. And I think that, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I stopped using them because I was like, I use them so obsessively that the fumes. So now the Sharpie pen doesn't have those fumes and they don't bleed.
Oh.
So it's they're much more expensive and harder to find. I think the weird world of no production has made the medium point Sharpie pen supply dwindle in the world. Not happy about it. So anytime I find them anywhere, I'm like, I buy them all. No joke. Thousands. Wow. I have bought thousands of those.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And one will last me one pen will last me probably like 4 days.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, for sure.
4 days?
Because the tip.
So how many hours are you
weird.
Talking that you're that you're drawing?
I always draw. If I'm sitting at home, like last night we watched the SpaceX launch.
Oh yeah,
We've been obsessed with that on Netflix. So I was like crying because I'm like, please don't let these people die, and they didn't. It was very successful.
Oh, because you were thinking of the
yes,
Challenger?
I think
or no?
like, right because
the Challenger
when you lived through that and you saw that, and then now it's like I'm watching this and I'm like, please don't.
Oh my gosh.
But it didn't. They're in space. They're all good.
They're all good.
But I ended up drawing little rocket ships and stars and so I just kind of absorb what's around me and then I just draw it. Hours every day. If I'm home and if I'm just hanging out, I'm usually drawing.
Wow.
But yeah.
And then you take those drawings, some of those drawings have morphed into, you have coloring books.
I do. I have a book.
You do murals. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have paused.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I do have a book out in the world. I had a book published in 2017, and you can still buy it at all major retailers.
Then you have murals.
I have done a few murals, yep. I love doing those.
And you've made them into tattoos for yourself, right? Like some of your images.
I do, yes. And other people. There's, I think, 4 or 5 other people who have gotten my art.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody once said to me that I should become a tattoo artist, and I'm like, I don't really want to touch people that long.
Right. It is an intimate thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so. Like, what if the person you're tattooing is really not jiving with you? Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I have respect for tattoo artists.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge.
Big deal. You were in a show once that was at the Art Supply, Lakeshore Art Supplies, and I don't even know how many paintings you put up. Was it like 250?
That was such a fun thing for me because I I love that I did that. Like when you guys asked me, I was like, okay, I could just do what I normally do, or I could just paint like 200 canvases yellow and make smiley faces and write a word on it, and like what an impact that would make.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was fun. I mean, it became an installation then.
It was ridiculous.
It was really focused on this.
They still float around in my studio,
Sure.
because they were really small, like 2-inch by 2-inch paintings too,
Right.
that were just like, quick $5.
Yeah.
And they pop up every once in a while in the studio, and I'm like, that was just like, you just did that.
Right. Right.
I like surprise. I like throwing things at people that they don't expect.
Right.
I love it.
What does it do for you?
I like pushing boundaries. I like opening up paths for other people to do the same. I like seeing people doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. If you're like the best, I'm trying to think of something, pastry chef, and like you really freaking love cupcakes and like you are super excited. I love that. That's my favorite thing, is watching that in people.
Yeah.
So if I can, just by being my weird self and doing weird things, can open that up for one other person, success to me.
Success.
I don't really care about the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's success.
Totally. So what inspires you? What are some things that inspire you?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I really do like to be outside. I'm a big outside. I mean, we can't right now because we would get carried away by mosquitoes, which really stinks. But,
oh my gosh.
They're so bad. But we are.
Frogs are happy.
What's that?
Frogs are happy.
We do have a pond. We have frogs. Yeah. They are very fat and happy right now. And the fish too. The fish are huge. But we are very avid gardeners at our house, my husband and I, and our backyard is pretty much paradise. So we spend a lot of time out there, and I'm always watching birds and bees and butterflies, and love nature. I love the beach.
Yeah.
I'm completely inspired by my friends who are very creative and living their best lives. I like just the normal stupid things like Pinterest. I love looking on Pinterest. I love seeing what other people are making. A conversation with a stranger at the grocery store inspires me sometimes. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Coming back full circle to that. Everything inspires.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
The planet's amazing. Like, I'm in awe every day of like going on the beach and just looking at rocks and picking up rocks and individually looking at rocks and the patterns and the colors and it's just fast. It's like, I don't know why everybody just can't cry every minute of the day with the joy of what's around us, like that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And it's just, so making things isn't even an option for me. Like I have to, like, because that bundle of energy I get just looking around.
Right.
Oh, thrift stores. Love thrift stores.
Yeah.
Totally. I love, and it's real funny because I was born in the 70s, so I'm so attracted to the 70s stuff, which growing up, I was like, like I physically broke a lamp in my house because I hated it so much. And I didn't tell my mom until years later that I actually like took a hammer and broke it.
Oh my gosh.
But I hated it, and now I'm so again attracted to that era and like the illustrations and it's just funny how that happens.
Yeah.
But
we just found some giant Zodiac posters that were obviously from the 70s. Big black line, bold colors, like pink, purple, red,
nice.
Golds,
That's awesome.
with the sort of painterly expression, but with these narratives and
that's awesome.
Yeah, just beautiful.
And that little rush you get when you find something like that, that's just fun.
Sure. Yeah.
I got that rush big time a few weeks ago. Somebody from the UW Milwaukee. So here's a really fascinating, this is what I love about the world. Living my life, no idea, but UW Milwaukee has this collection of maps from the American Geographical Society. In the 70s, they had space in their library in the third floor, and the New York City has this, it's still a thing, it's still a society, and these are people who collected maps, and, like it's a group of people, and in the 70s or 80s, I can't remember exactly, they had all these maps, and they decided that they didn't want them anymore. So they looked for a place to put them, and there was space at the library at UW Milwaukee. So they took this collection. It was like, I don't know. I'm totally exaggerating because that's what I do, but there has to be like 500,000 maps. But I'm not really exaggerating. There's a lot. Like, look it up. It's amazing. And I thought when this woman contacted me, I thought, well, okay, we'll go there and I'll get maps, because she said she wanted to give me some maps. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll go there and we'll get maps. So my daughter and I went, and she showed us around. I could not believe my eyes that this is right in Wisconsin and none of us know about it. This amazing collection of maps. We got to see maps that were like the original drawings of Australia, and like, we got to see a book that was commissioned by Napoleon.
Oh.
They have like these amazing...
Is that the Egypt one? I
don't even...
Oh.
It was... So anyways, they gave us duplicates. So they went through this entire collection, and then they weeded out the duplicates so that they just have one of each in this library. But this woman had heard about the center and asked if we wanted some maps for art projects. Come, because like well over 1,000 maps. Like, we have
you guys
so
have
many maps.
1,000 maps now?
I have been moving maps. I'm like seriously buff right now because I have been moving piles of maps around the center for weeks now. Yeah, and we're selling them for 50 cents. And then we'll use them to make books and stuff. But they're amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. I've looked at them so many times now, and that I'm like, I can't even look at them anymore because there's so many, and they've just become, there's so many. But come and look.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get to the center.
Okay.
Let's because pre-center, we had a conversation in my studio.
Mm-hmm, I remember that. And you actually mentioned the building that I ended up getting.
Yeah, I was like, this is your building.
And I was like, no, Erica, I can't afford that building. No. I was thinking about that conversation the other day. I was thinking how funny that was that you said that. And then I was like, no.
Yeah, but then you looked at it like the next day or something, and you're like,
I did.
Okay, that's my building.
I walked in and knew that it was the building that we had to have. So I jokingly put on Facebook, completely joking, I said, will somebody please buy me this building? I want to do this nonprofit. I want people to get together in a space. I want my rich friends to sit at a table with my poor friends. I want us to make art together because I know what that does. I know what it does to sit 5 hours at a table with someone expressing yourself through art. You form a bond that it's never going to go away. I wanted that. I've been traveling the country teaching for an art retreat company, and the only people who could really go were people who had money. And it was the best time of my life. Like, seriously, the best time of my life. We take over a hotel, 200 people come, we make art together for a week. Best, most healing, most life-changing moments of my life. And I wanted that to be an option for people who can't pay that kind of money to go.
Right.
So I just let my Facebook friends, on a whim, jokingly, I love this building, went and looked at it. It's beautiful. Somebody buy it for me. And somebody did.
Somebody did?
Yeah. So somebody from my past who wants to remain anonymous loaned me $100,000 with a very loose payment back schedule. She had inherited some money, and her exact words, and now I'm going to tell you her exact words because I once quoted her as not saying this, and she corrected me. She said, "I want to change the world, but I'm too fat and lazy to get off my couch and do it, and I know you can." So yeah, she is the reason that Hello Happiness Creativity Center exists.
Wow.
And then after that, it just kept happening. The board, we're a nonprofit, so we needed a board of directors. I posted that again on Facebook, and they came to me. I didn't have to search out people. We are looking for a board member right now, but just in case anybody's interested. A friend who's a CPA offered his services for the center. My friends from all over the country from teaching at the art retreats sent boxes of supplies to sell in our thrift store. We have a little art and craft thrift store. It's stupid cheap. Like, things are 5 cents, 10 cents a quarter. Very intentional. Our store is not for someone like me who can afford to go to the store and buy something. Our store is for people who have to think about, and don't get me wrong, people like me are welcome and please come and shop. But our prices are set so that people who have to think about buying a gallon of milk or paying the rent can come and shop and not feel, just feel like just normal people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to the store that everybody goes to, and I get to buy art supplies and be creative with my kids. I want to, it's almost that whole kind of hand up kind of, like, we're giving them the tools to just build a better life, which I think is going to build a better community. Like, it's all just when people can feel like they're a part of something that normally they have not been a part of, we're going to change the way they see the community. Whereas before, they maybe lashed out in quote unquote negative ways. Mm-hmm. They're now going to have something that they can think, well, I don't have to do it that way. I can do it this way. Mm-hmm. I can, become a part of this thing that's positive and healthy and good for everyone, and then build on that and take advantage of all the other great art things that our community has to offer, because it's amazing. Like, the art community in this area is stupid good.
Yeah.
Like, so good. I went to the Preserve the other day. Oh my gosh.
Art Preserve, the John Michael Kohler Art Preserve.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was so moved. Like, it was just amazing. But even as a working artist, I have sometimes been intimidated by that institution, I just want to be a bridge for everyone to say, okay, I can be comfortable in this space. Now I can go to this space. Now I can go to this space and feel comfortable there too. So
interesting.
Yeah. That's always been how my head has worked.
Yeah. Welcome back on In the Act. We're here with Kim Geiser. Hello.
Hello.
I think you were talking, I really want to get back to what we were talking about prior to this, is that you went to the Art Preserve and that you'd felt prior to that with maybe some other institutions that intimidation. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And Sheboygan itself is a really amazing art community. You're right. But we also have a lot of working class and farmers and in our community that I think many times don't feel accepted, don't feel part of the same. Let's see. Let me rephrase that. Don't feel like their views are going to be honored, or that they do feel intimidated about coming into places. And I've always tried to figure out how we can make the whole community, all of us, because it is a very diverse community, socioeconomically, racially, experience, like I don't even know. We can just go on. It's really diverse. Yeah. And Sheboygan's really interesting because it's not a suburb. It's not a suburb of Milwaukee. It is becoming its own city in its own way. And because it's growing fast right now, we have the opportunity to help shape it in a way that's going to hopefully reach out to people to have an equity of experience and connection. And how do we make that happen? And I think when you're talking about building bridges and building relationships, that's how we do it. And creating that community center is amazing. What do you think? I know that you talked about feeling privileged too, but what do you think helped you get through to be able to feel comfortable? Because I think that's a really important thing that you brought up, of the intimidation. How did you feel comfortable walking through the doors? What made you decide to? Why did you want to?
I've always done things that have been uncomfortable for me my whole life. Mm-hmm. So even if I don't feel like I belong in a place, I'm still going to go.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not like most people. Mm-hmm. So I recognize that my willingness to go into a place where I don't necessarily feel like I belong is not common.
Right.
So for me, I don't necessarily think that walking into these institutions for me is difficult. Mm-hmm. But what made me realize is not everybody is like me is that in 2017, I had worked at social services for 3 months. And it, when you asked earlier about path, the most important thing I've ever done in my life is work at social services for 3 months I was a supervised visitation provider. So I picked up kids from foster care and brought them to their biological parents and supervised for an hour or two while they visited. It was traumatic for me. Like, I often felt not ashamed, but I felt like I didn't have the right to feel traumatized by that experience.
Sure.
Because I was dealing with families who were dealing with real trauma.
Right. Like secondary. Mm-hmm.
But I, being so empathic, people warned me. They're like, Kim, don't do this job. Kim, don't do this job. And I was like, I want to make a difference, you know? So I took this job. My bubble was burst. I was living a very, like I said earlier, I'm privileged. I have never had to suffer. I have never had to think about filling my car with gas. I have never had to I've never had to worry, really. I mean, I have worries, obviously.
Sure.
And you have times where it's like, oh, what do we, but not to that level.
Yeah. So
meeting those people and sitting with those people that, that have completely different lives than I have ever, I didn't imagine that was real. Like that experience completely changed the way that I look at the community. It completely changed the way that I look at everything, like completely. And this wouldn't have happened without that experience. It took me almost
This meaning Hello
the
Happiness
Hello
Center?
Happiness. Working at social services for 3 months, I had health consequences for over a year. I developed severe hives to a point of becoming anaphylactic at times. The stress of that job, I had to quit. It wasn't I wanted to quit. I had to quit.
Was telling
My
you.
body was telling me. And I'm not totally woo-woo, but I believe in some woo-woo stuff. And I think my body was telling me this is important. Like this is, like this.
I don't think that's woo-woo. I think there's
It's
so
just
much
being-
scientific evidence
Yeah.
that if you're not paying attention and you're really stressed out, your body will do something to
Make you snap out of it. Yep.
That's right.
And during that time, after I quit that job and I was still having the health issues, I was working somewhere else and I loved the job, but it almost got worse. I also feel like it was like, this is not it. This is not it.
Right.
Get away from this. So it's just been real interesting. It kind of goes back to earlier listening to that inner, like learning the lessons of what things are teaching you. And
Right. That reflection cycle.
one of the families that I worked with when I was in social services, most of the kids I dealt with were little, but there was one teenage girl who I have stayed in contact with. We're besties now. She'll like text me like, "Hey, bestie." She's one of the major reasons this is happening. That feeling of knowing that I've touched somebody's life, again, to me, success.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about money. I'm fortunate to be married to somebody who provides enough for our family. We are very, very frugal people. We don't, money has just never been my thing. It just never has. But getting a text from a teenager who has had the kind of life that you only read about in books and see in movies, saying, "I have a job interview. What do I do?" And knowing that you are a person that person is going to, I mean, come on. So to me, it was a no-brainer that if I can use my creativity and all these experiences that I've had and open this place where people like this girl can come. And even if it's 5 people in the, if this place lasts 20 years and there's 5 kids or 5 adults whose lives are different, success.
Absolutely.
I hope it goes on forever, though. The center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it just stays, gets bigger, grows. More people find out about it and want to be involved, and we can, I don't know, take over an old grocery store and have this huge thing that, I'm never going to stop thinking bigger and thinking of more lives we can touch and more ways we can do things, more stuff we can keep out of a landfill, more ways to build a community. It's just how I am. It's never going to be enough. Always chasing more.
And within that excess of, which almost feels like brainstorming, like getting everything in, you also, in that reflection part of psychologically what you do, you also do that physically. You reflect on your spaces and then reorganize them and take time to really reorganize those spaces. And that's an important nugget to, and difficult to do, I think, to re-examine, filter, both physically and psychologically.
It's so natural to me.
Yeah.
It's like such a natural thing to me. When we actually have staff now. So that's exciting. But when our staff and team as a whole, the volunteers and the staff, when we talk, I jokingly tell them all the time that in our tiny little thrift store, when you come in, it's going to be rearranged because that is my like, I have to do that.
Yeah.
So part of opening was just my selfish. Like, I get to rearrange all the time.
Right.
But it's just a natural thing for me.
Right.
Like, I want to sort, and I have always wanted to take things that other people don't want and make them into something that they want.
Transformation.
Yeah, that's always been, I think, with stuff and people.
Yeah.
I'm usually attracted to weird people. Like, I'm attracted to people who are different, who I genuinely enjoy oddness.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, thinking about the center, how do you imagine it can grow? Like, you talked about it potentially growing, but like, what do you see happening? Because when you were like, Hello Happiness was also a store.
It's also the
right?
name of my book.
And,
so the original name came from the name of my book, and then I did the store on Michigan Avenue for just a year. That was a 1-year pop-up. And now it's the center. And so, like, there are different rooms inside. Mm-hmm. Can you explain a tiny bit about the space? And sure.
What, hopefully, eventually it can grow into? Yeah.
So this has been a very great exercise for me in holding off until things are ready, because I'm usually the kind of person, well, I did it in general with buying, right. With starting this, it was like, I'm doing this. Right. And then I'm like, oh, I'm doing it. Oh, what do I do? But, so when you walk in the back door, because it's a very old building, and the front door doesn't quite work, and like, it's a super cool building. So the back entrance is where you walk in. If you look to the left, there is the studio, which is stocked full of stuff. We were fortunate to get a grant to buy tools for the studio so that eventually we can teach classes like soldering and...
like soldering for jewelry?
Yeah.
Okay.
With an iron. So it would be like the stained glass type.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We just were able to buy a lot of tools with that grant.
Fantastic.
So it was wonderful. Originally, the idea was that room was going to also have open studio time, but it's just, it's a little overwhelming in that room. So what we have done is, off of the main studio on the main level, there's a small room that has a kitchen table with 4 chairs. Soon, in the next couple of months, we're going to be able to offer that room as open studio time. Oh. So we'll have the room stocked with just basic things, and you can just go in there and make and donate whatever you can. The studio space will be where we have classes and programming. Starting October 1st, the Aspire group at North High School will be coming and helping us out, doing some little odd jobs. So they'll be using that room then. So we'll just have to kind of manage time in that room to make sure that everybody's, Then when you walk out of the studio on the main level, there is our tiny thrift store that is chocked full of stuff. So we get donations from people and organizations, schools, businesses, and it's all art and craft supplies. So you're not weeding through clothing or anything. So anything you can use to make something creative, we have it. It's a lot. We also purchase, because I think that it's important to be able to have like just canvases and paintbrush and craft paint. So we buy in bulk some of the things just so that we can offer them, and people can, again, feel empowered by being able to buy a canvas, and affording it. And it's just a fun little space. I sell my art in there to help fund all the money stays at the center. So when I have time to make art, I hang it up and sell it in there. And then just a couple of weeks ago, we closed for a week, which we do 3 times a year just to kind of regroup. We completely reorganized, and it's looking so top-notch right now. But in the basement, we also have a classroom now.
Oh,
so
okay.
that can seat 10.
Wow.
And that will also be a space where people can drop in and use that space during certain times when we're open. In a couple of months, we'll do that. We just wanted to have that upper and lower so that if people can't use the stairs, they still have that option in that upper space.
Right.
And then in the basement is also our donation sorting room. And then we have a room where we have lots of things. So like a lot of people donate wine corks. Like a lot of wine corks. So we have like bins of wine corks and bins of chenille stems. So this is the room where like if you have an organization that needs like a craft kind of thing, we can be like, we can hook you up. We have 7,000 wine corks. So that's that room. As far as expanding, I think in this building, we're at max capacity. But I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Like it's good.
Yeah.
Like we have it. It's just really good right now.
Yeah.
I think that in the future, I think we'll need a bigger building eventually. I don't see that happening in the next 5, years or anything, but I think there will come a point where we'll be ready for a new building. Our next hurdle is a ramp. We do not have handicapped accessibility right now. I really struggled with that. I struggled opening not having that accessibility. But I opened during the pandemic and I needed to pay for that building. I needed to start, getting the word out. And so if somebody is unable to come in and wants to shop, somebody on our staff will gladly walk around and do a cell phone shopping trip. But we just got the quote and it's about $20,000. So we'll be hopefully getting that in the spring, but it'll be a winter of trying to figure out how to pay for that. But that's huge for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
How can you say your creativity for everyone,
right.
without that? So it's going to happen because it has to. But that's the next big step.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And how can people get a hold of you?
You can come into the center. It's 1504 New Jersey Avenue in Sheboygan, right on the corner of New Jersey and 15th, I think. It's kitty corner from Sheridan Elementary, in that really cool building that looks like a bank or something, but it's not. It's a crazy place with lots of art supplies in it. Or you can email me at hellohappinesscc@gmail.com, or just check out our Facebook page. That's probably the best. Hello Happiness Creativity Center on Facebook and Instagram. We post a lot on those. But just stop in because you're going to love it.
It's great. Kim, thank you so much for sharing about yourself and wisdom and the highs and lows and in-betweens and the colors of you. So thank you so much.
I enjoyed seeing you again. It's been a while. So
yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
In the Act is produced in the studios at Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. More information on the web at meadpl.org.